It's coming next week, right?
No, next. They're in virtual camp right now.
So we're on. Yeah, right. Sorry, I'm off the week, you're right.
And that's what they're.
Ready to.
Yeah, it's already streaming.
It's streaming, everything's going. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Education, July 17th, 2023 meeting. We'll call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Mrs. Hageman, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Sebastian?
Here.
Mr. Elam is not present. Mrs. Mansfield?
Here.
Mrs. Donahue? Here. Mr. King is not present.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we approve tonight's meeting agenda, before I call for motion for that, are there any additions to the agenda or removals?
I do have one removal under section 7. D, remove that. It will not be part of the consent agenda. And then the only other item would be 8A is under a recommendation under business, the open enrollment policy, and that's actually for board policy is a review of the policy, not administrative guidelines. So it's an opportunity for the board to, and I guess that's been done a little bit earlier than currently, but I'd see no recommendations given, coming forward, at least from the superintendent, as far as changes and how we look at the very small number of open enrollment applications that they receive.
So do we need to call the roll or do we just need to have discussion?
Only if there's a motion to amend the
Okay.
policy.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, are there any other additions or removals from the agenda? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda? I'll move. Thank you, Mrs. Donahue. May I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. Mrs. Hageman, will you please call the roll? Or is there discussion? I'm sorry, is there any discussion? Okay.
Just as amended, right?
Yes, as amended, thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Sebastian?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes. Okay, next we have approval of the minutes. We have a motion for approval of the June 21st regular meeting minutes, please. Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Donahue. Any discussion?
I wasn't here, so I won't be able to vote on that. So
If you don't vote, we won't be able to approve them tonight because we have to have a 3-person vote since there's only 3 of us here. It has to be a majority of 5. So
Moves on to.
our next meeting.
Okay.
Do I need to call the roll still? Okay. Yes.
Roll call.
we don't want
Yeah,
to.
no.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll move to the
So-
next meeting.
Okay, we'll move it to the next meeting. Okay.
Any official action to do that? Since
we have a Do we need to motion laying on the table?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
May I have a motion to take, we already have a motion on the
A
floor.
motion to postpone item 2B for the next meeting. Can we do it at the work session, please? Is there a work session?
The 21st, but I don't think
There
that's
is.
gonna be the,
We have a work session in August, so I move to move to item 2B to the August work session, please.
may I have a second?
And I'll second that.
Okay, may I have a roll call on that motion?
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian?
Yes, so our next work session, we will be approving the minutes under 2B.
And just for clarity, that's an amendment or a change to my original motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. Next, we have public participation. I have one item, or one person for an agenda item, and that is Mrs. Julie Reese. And can I have someone, Mrs. Lee, until these times, thank you.
Good evening, board. Thank you for letting me speak. I have some questions and some comments. The first is on the classified hiring levels. Because our classified staff are not part of a union, we here at Bethel have always had a Me Too policy. We give the classified staff the same as the teachers if possible. One of those rules is the number of steps they get when hired. The rule was through 10 years, a new hire was credited with their actual number of years of experience. The steps are capped at 10 when starting out. So for example, if you have 4 years of relevant experience, you would start at step 4. If you have 16 years of experience, you would be capped at step 10. In the agenda, there are 2 custodians who were hired at the wrong step. One had 22 years of custodial experience and was only hired at a step 3. The other had 19 and was hired at step 1. Obviously, this needs to be corrected. And by the way, this happened on my watch when I was on the board, so I do have some responsibility in this mistake. I could not figure out the math in the agenda based on the above formula just mentioned, so I spoke with Superintendent Kristen, who told me he is using a different formula where he gives them half of their experience to start. I was very disappointed to hear this because now we have an inconsistency between certified teachers and classified staff. In addition, if the person has 11 to 19 years of relevant experience, they will start at a lower step than we had previously allowed. For example, half of 12 years would put them at step 6 using a half formula, but would be a step 10 using the 2 formula. So I would ask that the Me Too strategy be re-implemented to be consistent and also that it be documented so there is no confusion in the future. On the technology assistant, I just have a question. Is this an additional position or a replacement? It doesn't say in the agenda. It would seem that last year's prediction would be coming true that an intern position is not permanent. And the last thing is on the open enrollment policy. I sent you guys an email on this. It's missing a date in the text. So hopefully you'll either fix that or just remove the text because it looks like the thing is needed. And then I would like reassurance that just because we have some empty classrooms in the elementary school that we are not allowing open enrollment beyond those previously approved and children staff members. Just wanted that on the record. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Reese. I will turn the meeting over to Mrs. Hageman for her financial reports.
Okay, so I apologize, as you all know, I had a heart attack on June 26th, so I was out the last week of June, but I'm glad to be back, and we did get the books balanced, and so it's been a crazy year for me. So we actually came really close to my revenue estimates, a little bit over, less than 0.16%. So it's pretty gosh darn close. But we exceeded our budgets a little bit with purchase services and some of the salaries. So still in good standing. We still ended in the black, just not 500,000+ in the black. It's more like a little over 100,000. So we had some additional special education costs and some ESC costs that came in at the last minute, and I wanted to capture those in this fiscal year. So we went ahead and paid those now. So I went on to explain some of that in here, so if you have any questions. But as you can see, general fund revenue or operating revenue, where the money was coming from. So state foundation has increased considerably this year. And we did receive about 120,000+ more than we anticipated, so that's always good. And as far as money and where it went, it's salaries and benefits, but also purchase services because we get a lot of our staff from the ESC. So as we look at those positions as they come up and we try to move those over, I will say that this percentage is going down, but we're still very thankful for the ESC services, and some of them are pretty inexpensive compared to hiring them ourselves. So this is just a bar graph that depicts where we are as far as revenues are concerned and where we were as far as expenditures. Anybody has any questions, I will be happy to, answer any questions that anybody may have. And where we ended as far as cash summary, where each fund, because we have different funds for everything. So we did pretty good this year. Not as well as I had hoped, but I think we still came out pretty good. There is the June detailed check register. And because we had some unexpected expenditures at the end of the year, I need you to approve a new final appropriation to go to the Miami County Auditor. And then we also had some last minute bills that came in for grants, those laptops and Chromebooks. I was thinking that they cut off your grant request like mid-June, June 13th, I think was the date. So we got the bill. And so we went ahead and paid it, but we didn't have enough, couldn't get the request into the grants by the 13th. So those 3 grants need a transfer from general fund just to close it out. And then once I do the request this month, we'll get that money back and it goes right back in. So it's just a matter of closing it out for the month that we have to have those in good standing.
So it's not that we won't get grant money for it, it's that we didn't have that month.
Right, you have to have a request on file in order to have it in a negative balance, and I got 3 on file, but these other 3 came in after the cutoff date, so, yeah. So that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Hey, may I, before we have discussion, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for the treasurer's report? Oh, thank you, Mrs. Donahue. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. Yeah, go ahead, Natalie.
I'm sorry. The appropriations that have to be reapproved, yes, approved again. Can you share what those other expenses were that we weren't aware of initially, or?
Well, what had happened in previous years is typically we'll cut off cutting checks like the first or second week of June in anticipation of getting everything cleaned up and done. Since we lost our AP, our full-time AP person mid-March, we were trying to play catch up. And so I wanted to get as many things cleaned up and paid as we possibly could. So we didn't shut that off on June 16th. We carried it through to June 30th. So we just kept paying to make sure everybody was paid and the district was okay and we could keep the lights on, right? So what it was special education cost, learning center costs, things that came in after, so, and we have typically not paid them this year. We waited until July or August, but I wanted to capture those costs in the true fiscal year in which they incurred.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thanks.
And it's possible, I think I mentioned that if Friday had fallen on July 1st, some of these expenses may have fallen into the next fiscal year. It's just because Friday was June 30th this year that it just was, again, a timing issue.
Right.
So we probably would have had a couple $100,000 swing, correct?
Right. We had a 27th pay date, and you also have an extra accounts payable. But I think it's a good thing because we want to recognize those costs in the fiscal year. It was actually incurred for future budgeting purposes.
Thank you. All right, any other questions or comments?
I already asked mine.
Okay, great. All right.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Section 5, letter A, important dates. We have quite a few given the summer. We have moving days scheduled. That's actually, it says August 1 through 4th. Actually, it's 7th. But we could be moving in before that. I'll talk more about that in my facilities report. First day back for staff is a month from today. Hush goes over the crowd. Saturday, we'll be getting more information out for this, but historic event here for this district be the dedication of the new elementary school and grand opening at 10:30 a.m. Hope as many people can come and come tour the building. Monday, August 21st is our open house for the middle school and high school, 6:30. First day back for kids then is the 23rd. That's just middle school and high school. Monday, August 28th is the open house for grades 2 through 5. 4 to 6:30, and then later that week on Thursday is the open house for K and 1, same times. We're gonna have stadium dedication for our first home football game, which is September 1st. Details to follow. Not sure if we're gonna do that before the game, halftime, or what Mr. Smith's thinking here. So, and then of course Labor Day, and then our first day of school. We are going to have some board meetings in that. So I just noticed those were in there. So excited about all this.
Facilities and regular.
Yep. 21st. That'll be a busy night for us, but we'll be spread out. Okay, on to personnel. Things are still happening here. So I have the latest tally for the board and the public and certified and classified transactions and how those break down as far as resignations and transfers and new positions to accommodate. And then I think we're down to about 3 certified positions left to hire and 7 on the classified. And then no report for enrollment, stays the same, so nothing new there. So that's the superintendent's report. Moving on to recommendations under classified personnel. The recommendation for the new assistant to the treasurer, Sandra Johnson. Item B, we have classified renewal for our ELL specialists. And moving our intern in Beeksma from, and he was an intern this year, but we have 2 buildings. And to cover all that, we feel we need a full-time person in each building with our coordinator, Mr. Cook, our director going back and forth. And then Hope McKenzie's listed there. Again, we hired her last month at 6 hours. That was a typo. It should have been 8. So just having the board amend that. And then item C, and you can call this an advancement, adjustment, fix, is giving some recognition to these 2 custodians for years of work and other positions and other institutions prior to coming to resignations, Mr. Kennison, and just recently, Mr. Newman, that's why that's in green. Then another resignation from our assistant treasurer and payroll person, Cheyenne Solomon. We wish her well. She takes on a new position at Franklin City Schools. And then employee administrative personnel, this would be her replacement, Mackenzie Hatter. Approval of leave without pay for custodian, Sheila Epplin. A few more student workers. We need more strong backs for one more move, and so welcome site to get 5 more folks to work for us. Those are the recommendations for classified personnel.
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda for the classified personnel, please? Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Donahue. Discussion.
That's my discussion. No, I'm just kidding. Heavy sigh, yeah, I mean, heavy sigh covers a lot of ground, I think. It's a rough summer. I mean, right?
Busy.
Very busy, very, very busy for many, many reasons. So thank you to everyone who served faithfully and fabulously and that are leaving and departing. Very sad to see you go. But thank you for your time from the bottom of our heart. Welcome to the new people. Warm hearty welcome to the new people. And hopefully you'll find your home here and stay with us for a long time. Thank you to our summer student workers that are making this massive move possible. And where we'd be without you, actually. Because hopefully those new dates are coming through and moving a little bit earlier, which would be fabulous. And yeah, and just thank you so much to all of the hard work from all of the existing staff who are helping with all those interviews. Find time to find new people to replace and fill in and try and backfill people that will be so.
I had 2 comments. One was, hope I say his name right, Ian Beeksma, I believe received his associate's degree, so he's no longer just an intern, he will be a full-time employee. So, yeah, so congratulations to him on receiving his associate's degree. And then I wanted to check with Mr. Crispin, since we have so many community members here tonight, what positions are we still looking for, especially in classified staff? Because we'll be happy to accept applications for positions. We're still looking. I think
Okay.
she go ahead.
So we are currently, we haven't got to certificated folks, but we are looking for a K2 principal. And our SEA counselors, we have 1 SEA counselor position open and a science ELA position open in the middle school. And then on the classified side, we are still looking for a couple of bus drivers, a couple of custodians, and a couple of food service folks. And we've received some food service interest, but we're looking for more hours. So we may look at combining some positions to offer some folks 3 hours cutting it, or at least the applicant pool that we have. So yeah, you want to drive bus, feed kids in 2 beautiful kitchens here that we have, great kids and staff. Come see us.
Thank you.
I think we always knew it was going to be a lot of jobs to fill in the second building. So from a food service custodial standpoint, it was always going to be big. So appreciate all the work that's been done so far. Sorry.
That's okay. Actually, that was a good lead in. I was going to ask on the item 5B, the certified and classified personnel numbers. The new numbers, that doesn't just mean new to the district. Some of those could be new positions altogether.
So you're talking on the chart there.
Yes. From the
Yeah, so
certified-
new means those are new positions that we have,
Okay.
not new people,
Okay.
new positions added.
Okay. And out of the new, on both sides, how many are related to the new building?
So on the classified side, that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I'll check that. Let me get back with you, because I don't, some of them new, like the new nurse positions. I have those labeled as, those are new positions to our district because they're not employed full-time nurses, so I can give you that breakdown and just
Oh, thank you.
think that.
We did discuss it at an earlier meeting too. I can't remember either.
I think the
You did
bulk
break
of
it out
them,
at one point.
besides the obvious teaching for the growth, the teachers and the ELL for the growth, were the cafeteria and the maintenance department. We probably have to hire a couple more bus drivers for the growth. So I mean, that's the big areas were the custodial and the.
Yeah, the new positions added were mostly middle school to get class sizes down and then to beef up our EL support services. That would be the certificate.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I did want to ask also about the some of the classified staff. In the title, it says renew. And assuming that all of these are renew, it doesn't, it does say for the 23-24, okay, school year, so just for the 1 year.
Mhm.
I did want to ask about the ELL support specialists.
Mhm.
How will their time be split through the day? Are they all going to be in the elementary? Where you believe that would be the most best spent time for them, and who will they report to?
Yeah, we're working on that piece. So let me start backwards. So we lost Erin Bailey, our EL part-time EL coordinator, after she did a great job of bringing in some new folks for us. And so, you know, we don't have a firm schedule. What the support specialist did last year was anywhere from pull-outs with students to being in the classroom with students and teachers, providing those translation services.
Okay, so it's
And they were busy. Yeah.
kind of a combination between what the teachers need and what the coordinator can help.
Well, yeah, servicing.
Organize
the
them,
kids,
yeah.
especially early on, when we were adjusting to our newcomers from Ukraine. It lends some help to more help to our staff.
Do you think mostly in the elementary then, more than likely?
That would make sense. That's where the numbers are as far as our EL students. We have more in the elementary.
Did they spend most of their time last year or this past year in the elementary side?
I couldn't put a number on it, but my guess is, yeah. That's why, you know, we have 2 teachers, EL teachers there and 1 for those.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
The item C, then the advancement on salary schedule.
Mhm.
I apologize when I was a community member. I'm trying to think back to maybe the April-May timeframe of 2021. Oh, really digging hard on that. I thought there were some new classified step documents that were shared at the board meeting with everybody. And I just wondered, are we following that then? With the custodians then as well?
Are we following,
That-
we're using the classified schedule that was approved, I think, and updated in the fall or early fall.
The May one was just for cafeteria. I think we adjusted the cafeteria. We may have approved the whole thing.
Oh, this
then,
May.
but yeah.
Right,
Okay.
we
Is that what
did.
you were thinking? or no?
I was thinking further back, yeah, before I was
Always
actually.
after the new classified schedule. We looked at
You're
a
talking
lot of
like
I don't know
2021.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
We haven't made any changes to the custodial rates since I've been. So, yeah.
I was
It's
just,
August of 21.
We were-
How long ago?
okay.
When we did the job descriptions and stuff, I think at some
Right.
point we looked at what the the steps and the salaries and stuff. Well, I remember seeing the schedule just like you did.
Right, we did have the schedule, the whole schedule approved, but I don't think we made any
We
changes.
aligned
because-
titles, and we looked at the secondary
Right.
titles, as we did job descriptions, we've looked at where they are on the schedule and that kind of stuff. I know we've seen them, but we haven't really changed them, but I recall we've been like aligning it with the job descriptions.
Okay. Thanks. I was just, what Ms. Reese spoke of, you know, when she was asking for something to be documented, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else we can document that maybe isn't already captured is what I was trying to determine if we can, I don't know if that is a policy, is it a, you know, is it at the front end of that classified schedule or the certified schedule, or there, you know?
Well, I know it's in the teachers negotiated agreement. It's language in the Bethel Association. Contract to start, no, you can't start above a step 10. I don't think it's written anywhere else that I'm aware of as far as in policy or anything like that, that it's applicable to any other. But if that's the board's will, then it's certainly something we can add. Yeah.
I just thought maybe we can look at that.
Yeah, I think definitely. I had a great conversation with Mrs. Reese earlier. Appreciated her feedback, and she's great history, and it's consistency and consistency. You know, as there's turnover, board members and treasurers, and somehow we've got to find a way, because they're not like the class or the certified folks have a union and a document that says this is how employment goes here. And so without that, it's kind of been all over the place just in my short time here, and looking at what's been done and trying to figure out where to place folks and that type of thing. So yeah, maybe that's a work session.
And I mean, even this,
Yeah.
which is kind of startling, whether you're step 15 or step 19, you're still making $18.36 an hour. So there's no distinction between step 15 and step 19.
Right, it goes
Which
to
is-
10, 15, 20.
So I think there's not as many.
There's not as many steps.
And so that's another, I don't want to say a problem, but that's another thing that another issue we may wish to address.
Correct.
Thank you. Appreciate that discussion. Let me double check here. Okay, I think that's all I have.
Thank you so much. All right. I have nothing further, so Mrs. Hagan, will you please call the roll?
I get for taking notes now. I apologize. Okay, Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield.
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0. Next up, Mr. Crispin, will you tell us about our certified personnel, please?
Well, 7A is nothing but bad news for us, unfortunately, and good news for these folks as they go on to new experiences. And but you know, Rickhart's been stalwart in this district for 30+ years, and you just don't replace that institutional knowledge, and he will be missed by students and staff. Colleen Henderson, our social and emotional awareness counselor, headed up our Hope Squad, and just did a phenomenal job with our students and some of our staff, including the superintendent. And Courtney Varvel, super teacher, and we wish all three of them best of luck, and thank them for everything we've done for the local schools. So bittersweet, the sweet side of bittersweet is hiring two new individuals, and Mark Kelly and Aaron Chesser, both come highly recommended, and we welcome them to the Bethel family. We have supplemental resignations then from Alexis Runbaum and Mr. Brookhart. We've removed item D. We're going on to E. We have the resignation of Cassie Schock Spent 2 years here as our K-1 gifted coordinator, talented educator, knows her stuff. And he's got a great opportunity at Oakwood, and spoke to their superintendent, I know back from time in Worthington, and very excited about getting Cassie. We couldn't argue. So good luck to Cassie, and thank you for everything you've done. And we'll still welcome you back to the dedication if you're listening, and we'll get you a t-shirt. Then our substitute teacher was. Those are my recommendations for
Thank you, Mr.
certificate person.
May I have a motion for certified personnel? Remember, we will be excluding item D. So may I have a motion for that, please?
I'll move.
Thank you, Mrs. Donahue. May I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. Discussion.
Have you signed?
Do you have, I said before, like, can we just amp that up to 52 degrees? Because, wow. I mean, not only, you know, like Brett, Colleen, Courtney, like, I mean, wow. I mean, I knew them personally. I knew them personally. My son had them all. I spent time with all of them. You know, those ones were tough. So just thank you. And wow, thank you so much for all of your service and your time. And those ones are just really, those were tough. Those were tough for everyone present here, everyone in the district. I can't thank you enough for your service and what you've done for the students of Bethel, as well as me and my family personally. Genuinely, going to be missed. Very, very difficult. I know we've hired some people to replace them, but you're never going to replace them. Really, that's just the reality of it. So, and that's nothing against the new folks. I welcome them with open arms, and I know they're going to be fabulous too. But it's something to just have the same. And that's just a fact, right? So thank you to our new people coming in, and thank you to everyone once again on hiring committees and interview committees and making tough decisions to try and find those replacements as well as we can. To Cassie, thank you so much for everything she's done. Oakwood's lucky. We're very lucky. Feels very lucky for sure. So, just been signed a lot. Signed. All I need to do right now. We'll figure it out. It's a lot of side.
Okay, Mrs. Hagan, and will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Mansfield,
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Motion passes 3-0, and again, please remember that that did not include item D. Okay, our recommendations for business, unless there are changes, we will not be taking a vote, but we will open that for discussion from Mr. Chris.
Yeah, lastly, I'll just want to say thanks to our administrators and our staff for coming in and put in lots of hours looking through applications, making calls, and doing interviews, and we still have more to do. So we do have 3 finalists for the principal position. And we're waiting for Carrie to come back from vacation. Let her have a vacation this week, and then she's assembled a team of again teachers giving up their time to come in and spend the morning with us, and then debrief those 3 candidates. So yeah, so board policy asks that the Board of Education review annually this document, 5113 on inter-district open enrollment. Again, it's, I think in the past, the packet that actually goes out has been brought forward to this board. We used that packet and put 2023 and 2024 on it and used it because we're really not in a spot where open enrollment is a viable or needed option for this district. So I think our list of open enrolled students is less than 20. And most of those are grandfathered in and employed children. So. And I think we only had a couple of applications, so I think the word is out that Bethel there's no room in the inn. But still, this is a base that we need to touch it earlier next year, but I don't foresee these guidelines changing. They're just
So basically the same requirements for the packet from last year, which were we did not plan to accept any students that.
reserve the right. There were space and which probably should have been quantified, that type of thing. And sometimes you find that in master agreements, class size limitations, and that helps guide, that we're capped, and so you don't need anything like this. But
So because we have this policy, and so it has to be reviewed annually, we should also be doing a resolution annually that
Reforms.
engages, I guess, the open enrollment information form that we send out each spring or post each
well,
spring.
the way I read it was to determine whether to adopt
Sure,
a resolution
yeah,
to continue the policy of percent.
instead of
So I
how like
suppose-
you kind of just been automatically posting it every year,
Yeah.
and what we should be doing is in, say, January or organizational meeting, maybe
Probably
Berlin meeting,
makes sense
whatever.
organizational.
Yeah, we should really just be going ahead and adopting the resolution if we're still not doing open enrollment, except under those specified terms of space.
I think that would be a
Staff.
good spot for that.
And we didn't do it this year. So we need to do that at also at our August work session. Or August meeting or whatever.
I think it'd be good to have the full board or closer.
Yeah.
I like that idea, that
It says
it's-
annually, so it's not like it's tied to a date necessarily, but it would be a good idea to do so.
So we can definitely bring the work session and get a resolution in place, if that's okay with everyone. Yeah, I mean, I think it should be hopefully seamless, we'll see.
1917 building needs a rest a little bit.
Like you brought up a good question. I was wondering if there was a drop dead date that it had to be approved every year by.
No, but usually the beginning of May is when you cut off open enrollment, so you can start your planning and that kind of thing. So
I definitely like the idea of doing it in the organization.
I think that
that's
fits
a
with
really
a
great
lot of the
idea.
stuff that takes place at the organization.
that's-
Super.
And just one other thing on this, I know it was brought to our attention in an email that it looks as if there is a date that could be filled in, should be filled in, and the sentence doesn't necessarily read well on the second page, but can we make an amendment to clarify that and fix that or revise that?
Could we just have, next time they get warm with me, I'll have them review that and we'll reapprove it at that time, would that be okay? Or you-
Yeah, I'll just send it to Norm.
Yeah, is that okay to run
We
through
should be
them?
having one here. in
To
August.
send it to Neil, because there may be other things that this needs updated, because it says it hasn't been updated since 2008, but then at the bottom it says last 2019, so just make sure this is in compliance with the current.
Yeah.
Because there may be other things besides that need updated.
Yeah, that may be caught.
That way we don't have to approve it twice.
Right.
Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would we necessarily table this then for now, or how? It's a first reading?
It's not really a first reading.
It's
We
neither, right?
We're just discussing it, and I don't plan to call for a vote because we need to find more information, if that's okay.
I'll have Norm do what he did with our board meeting policy, do it side by side with their template, with what we had, and that's how we finished a sentence and found some other mistakes and things that were outdated. And then I'll bring it back in August. Then we can do a first reading, maybe a work session. Finish it off, regular meeting.
Sounds good.
But when he gets it back to me, I'll send it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're moving to number 9, discussion. The first thing up is Mrs. Henry. Mrs. Brewer, do you have an update for BEA, please? Thank you, Mrs.
Just today, I noticed the assistant treasurer, $70,000. You did not list the years of experience. Right. We put that, how many years of experience Mackenzie has to earn $70,000.
Check. But
On July 5th of last year, Cheyenne told me was hired and much lower. I'm curious as to which experience. That is all I have right now, because if I start, I won't stop.
Thank you, Mrs. Brewer, for your comments. Next up, Facilities Committee, Mr. Crispin.
Okay, from the core meeting, this was held July 10th. Here are the notes, progress report. Court style is wrapping up in quarters, will be on the stage soon. Gymnasium floor is going to be the last to be installed, tentatively the middle of the month. Still holding at that. There's some material availability for additional tile. So I think we dealt with that piece. I think we're shipping it from Italy, actually. Final cleaning was wrapped up in the north wing, areas 5 and 6, and advanced the district move into those areas that continue to progress through the rest of the building with the initial cleaning. And we'll wrap up finishing touches in the coming weeks. Final punch list, reviews by Governor Miller are continuing. Final building department, state fire marshal inspections begin Thursday, July 13th. Working towards obtaining occupancy by the end of the month. Exterior site finish work and seating is complete around the buildings and drives. Work around the football field will be wrapped up as other work and the weather allows. Seating of those areas will occur toward the end of summer. Track surfacing placement is wrapped up. It needs approximately 1 week cure time for the line painting. Contractor will be out to start that step. So that was last Monday. So this Monday, tile is still wrapping up. We've moved into the north wing. Kids did a great job. Mr. Clue, Coach Goulet did a great job leading those folks. So the stuff is there. New furniture, some of the new furniture arrives this week and will be installed as well. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. We have grass. We've had to mow our grass. We have more grass to mow. So that's been a good thing. We received temporary occupancy by the skin of our teeth and lots of begging. So we have some work to finish up, but I think everybody felt pretty confident today that next week we should get the green light, which would allow us to maybe move up, push up our moving dates, which yeah, that'd be really awesome. So one of our goals though is to have the office set up, administration by August 1st, along with internet service. So elementary can start handling parents, register kids and that kind of thing, and at least shift some of the registration over there for elementary students. Mass culvert was put in for the road that's going to connect both parking lots. And so that work can continue, and 4 footers for the field house. But don't be confused, we will not have a field house just for this at least fall season. That's why the porta johns are being delivered as we get ready for practice, hopefully starting in August, and then our first soccer match, August 12th. Striping for the track and march should go up at the end of the week, as long as the rain's not too crazy, and seating around that area. It's going to start tomorrow, again, weather dependent. What else? The renovation for the middle school restrooms began last week, and all the commodes, they're practically empty except for the sinks, and flooring gets installed next week. That's what's going on in the facilities, a lot.
And I see we have a lot of teachers here. I just want to thank those of you who had to pack up and move. I know that affected a lot of you, and I was over in the K2 wing today, and your boxes are there. So thanks to the students and the people who moved those. They're all sitting in the middle of the rooms right now. I didn't go in any of the rooms, but I could see them. It's pretty exciting, and it's hope. I'm just thrilled that we look like we're going to even move in earlier than expected, because I mean, I think all of us were, we're going to make July 31st, and here we are, and we are pending any unforeseen situations. So thank you for all your extra efforts and work on that.
Yeah, you really think about, I think about a year ago, I was new. And this time it was like, fifth grade wing's probably not gonna happen. And so everything else was kind of progressing along, and now kudos to Peterson for somehow it's ready to be inspected with the rest of the building. It's not. So I don't know how they did it, but yeah.
Yeah, we told them 2 years ago, our priority was to finish the fifth grade wing, and I mean, they could not have answered that call any better. And it is, both Garmin Law and Peterson have been absolutely fabulous.
Something like that.
And I mean, I don't know if most of you know, but another local district had to go back to voters to finish their facilities because costs have gone up so much. And we were not only able to finish our facilities, but then finish the fifth grade, which is a testament to how frugal everyone has been with your tax money. I mean, I'm super, super pleased. And you know, I'm a finance person and I'm frugal myself. So it's a huge accomplishment for those involved. Thank you to our administrators too, because it wasn't just Peterson and it was the whole team. And by the way, I saw some eyes roll when we said the field house won't be done, so I do want to make a comment about that. We are planning to put a shed up for the first year or two until we have the funds to accomplish that. Boosters chose not to take out a loan, which I think for the long term is probably the right decision. So there are simply not the funds to finish the field house. So that shed then over time will become storage once we are able to build a more permanent structure. So again, we're trying to make good choices with the money that is available.
Made my donation.
Thank you. You're welcome. And I made my donation 2 years ago. Yeah, if any of you feel so obliged, please feel free to contribute. We are still accepting donations for the Legacy project.
Where's the Legacy Wall gonna go?
I believe at the entrance.
See the green arch? Yeah, we'll do it there. Right now, we're holding off because once to put, they want to mesh if they lay come in with the concrete afterwards, when they're ready to build the field house, it'll break up those nice blocks. And so right now that piece is on hold, if I understand.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I can show it to you.
So the Legacy won't be up for a few years?
Well, I think it has to go along with the field house, but let me double check. Because I know there was concern about if they put it in and then they come in later to do the field house, it's gonna get ruined.
Maybe we can get some kind of laminated diagram or something like that.
Yeah, I think they
Figure
talked about
something out.
recognition of folks that, yeah, for sure. Sure.
It's the only reason I donated was so to be there for my kid's high school career.
I'm a senior, so I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for your donation. We did have, I think, 10 or 12 staff, and some of them took advantage of the program mistakenly set up where they could be taken out of their paycheck. So, I mean, I was flabbergasted by the participation we had, especially by some of our younger teachers and staff. It was pretty impressive. So thank you to all of you who have donated. Next up, anything else for facilities? Technology Committee, Mr. King's not here. Do we have anything for that? Liaison reports. I'll start with Mrs. Mansfield for our
Student activities and whatnot. Well, I mean, obviously we have a number of students helping us with the move. Thank you. It's awesome. They're doing a great job. It is rookie week for band right now, and band camp is next week. So that's exciting. I love seeing this band stuff. Crazy, right? You know, summer is like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost over. Good. Whenever band camp comes around. And August 1st, practices for athletics officially start August 1st. So if you have not been in touch with your coach and don't know your practice schedule starting August 1st, it's time to reach out and get in touch with your coaches. So that's really about all I've got right now, because it's summer.
and finish your final forms, right? So
Well, yeah, definitely finish your final forms. Everybody's got emails about final forms. Check your email,
Check your
especially,
spam folders.
you know, their parent will fill it out and then the student needs to do their part. So you might need to, as a parent, log in and resend that to your students. So that's always fun. Yeah, thanks for the reminder of final forms. Very good, so I forgot that. It's like,
Okay, Mrs. Donna, do you have anything for the CPC?
Just very quickly, the,
Excuse me. We have some talking out in the audience. If you need to talk, please remove yourself. Thank you.
so just very quickly, the juniors will start, their first day back at CTC will be Tuesday, August 15th. And then the seniors will start August 16th. And I was trying to, I made a few phone calls, but I wasn't able to get a good number of how many Bethel kids will be going next year as juniors. So hoping to still have that, but I didn't have it before tonight, but if anybody knows.
it's usually a good sign.
Yeah. 2 buses again.
That's all.
Are there any other liaison reports? I don't think there's legislative liaison that Dan did.
I didn't get anything from either number.
Is there any old business we need to discuss?
Mr. Crispin, I was just gonna ask, as just briefly, the LifeWise program, I was wondering if you could give us an update on that, if that had been, or where you are, or where the
Yeah.
planning is for that.
Yeah, so we have obstacle of transportation that we're trying to work out. Mr. Fugate's been on vacation, so once he returns, I've been in touch with Mrs. Safe Rate, and we're gonna see what our options are. So I think they're having some issue. I can't, I don't know if it's finding the actual vehicle to do to handle the transportation, but they're looking to us to help out. And I said I wouldn't be able to do that without his input, and knowing we're down a couple of drivers, concerned a little bit, but so that's where, other than that, there's a schedule, and you know, Cassie and Carrie have done a nice job with the schedule. That piece is ready. It's issue of transportation.
Thank you. And then something else I had thought about as we're talking here, the Y, the daycare program, how's that coming along? Is that geared up and ready to go as well?
Yes, it is. So they are going to have to come back, and you remember, to get us going, they had to have a facility. So they used this one. Now they're in the process of having their people schedule time to come out when we have occupancy,
Yeah.
and get a quick certification from their headquarters. But all the paperwork, communication, everything's teed up and ready to go. was the last communication received from Mrs. Daniels.
If I can jump in, when you speak with them again, it should be
Yes.
probably pretty soon. There are concerns from folks who have reached out, like they filled out the yes, I'm interested or what have you. And now they're calling to say, do we have a spot? Are we covered? Because they need to know if they have care for their child. And they're not
We
really,
do that
they're not really
online
hearing
or just a straight call?
both. There've been people who've done both, and they're not really hearing anything back.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
parents are getting antsy. A great many parents are getting antsy. So I was gonna talk to you about that privately, but since Ms. Stein brought it up,
No, that's
because
good.
I need to be in touch with them, so. If you could just mention that,
Make
folks really
confirmation.
need to be reached out with confirmation that they're in or not in. If they made it or not, so.
If she tells me that they should have heard something, I'll just communicate that back to you.
Sure.
You can let those folks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Is there anything else before we move into the public participation? All right, first up, for public participation, item number 10, Mrs. Bean.
Me. Here we sit again with many teachers leaving the district. From what I'm told, there are 30 that is left this year. Wasn't too long ago that 24 left, maybe that was last year or the year before. Question is why? Why are our teachers leaving? I can say that most of the teachers would have stayed if the pay was better and support was given to their never-ending demand to educate students. We tend to treat our teachers like they have no voice, that they shouldn't speak up, and that they are here to do whatever we ask of them. Well, then why don't we ever ask our teachers what is best for our students, for our parents, or for our community? After all, they are the ones that are on the front line. They are the ones that build the bonds with the students and the families. They are with our students every day, all day. They are the experts. They know children's brain, curriculum, how a child develops, learning styles, disabilities, and how to connect with them to get the best out of them. How many of you hold an education degree? Have you sat in any of the classrooms that are education-based? How many hours do you spend learning about our students, what their needs are, what our curriculum looks like, and how students learn? Better yet, have you truly sat down with our teachers and asked them, how can we help support you better? A system that doesn't take care of its people will be doomed to fail the people it serves. Teachers are burnout. What does that mean? Teachers' burnout is more than just a frustrating day with distracting students, subpar technology, or day-to-day job requirements. It's chronic stress due to unrelenting workplace demands. Our teachers are working harder than ever. They have many duties, huge class sizes, little resources, more hoops to jump through, and high demand for good testing scores. It's a system that is set up to fail. I encourage you to take a step back, really open your eyes, and look at the big picture. Teachers usually go in this profession because they want to make a difference in children's lives. They truly love what they do, but if you keep adding to the problem, then the teachers will have no other choice than to leave the profession. So why aren't we taking care of our teachers? Why aren't we listening to them? Why do so many teachers have 2 or 3 jobs? Teachers deserve better. Give them what they need because our children depend on them. We as parents depend on them. Listen to them because after all, they are the professionals. Now, on that line, the other thing I want to say, you said you're being very frugal with our money and things, but this assistant treasurer, 27, we're just figuring it out there really quick, 27% raise increase from last treasurer with, we don't know how much experience she has, anything. So I think the community and the teachers deserve to know that. So the other question I have is, There's 88 counties in Ohio. And this year, out of those 88 counties, every county has multiple board of election or board members that are up for re-election. And Bethel is one of them. So I want to make this public and on record that I know that Bethel has 3 board members positions opening up or up for re-election. Mrs. Sebastian's 4-year term, Mrs. Manfield, 4-year, Jacob King, 2-year. The question I'd like to know tonight, and many in the community, is if you're running for re-election. Anybody, the 2 that are here tonight.
I'm excited.
Sorry.
I'm excited.
Okay.
I have my nominating position. If anyone would like to sign, I'll be happy to share it after the meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Beam. Mrs. Hughes. Donna Hughes, what, can you tell me your topic? I'm not, is it animals?
Animals.
Animals, okay.
Ms. Tina, nice to see you.
Thank you.
Welcome and everything. Sorry about scaring you.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I want to go after you about animals. Do you allow animals to run freely in the school other than service animals? I don't know, I'm asking. I don't know. Is there a policy that animals don't run in the school? The reason I'm asking that, and no one has answered the question, is if a child comes in and says that child is a dog or a cat and wants to be treated as a dog or a cat, that they growl, they hiss, then that child should not be in school for humans. Some schools in the area have students like that. And I would like for the board to make a decision not to allow that child to be a disruption in the classroom. And this is a book that I'm reading on education. I noticed a lot of things about this education and where the failure dropped in my opinion, where the failure dropped. But I'd like to encourage every school board member to read this. Every person who's studying, who wants to be a teacher, or who's someone who's running for board, know where the failings of our school started, why it started that way, and how we can turn it around. So that's why I said animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hughes. Mrs. Ranger.
Hello, I'm Heather Reininger, and I am speaking. I have a 7th grader that will be attending Bethel Middle School. And I'm just expressing a concern that I have this next school year, since he is not in band or choir, he will be placed into 2 study halls. So 2 out of the 8 class periods, he will be sitting in study hall. I'm very concerned with that. I just want what's best for him and to set him up for success. And I I'm really worried about that kind of schedule for him. Just wanted to kind of.
No, I appreciate you
express my
bringing that
concern.
to our attention. Yeah, of course. I'm not as familiar with the middle school curriculum, but I'm sure Mr.
Yeah,
Chris.
so I almost am like, you're gonna just take choir,
Right,
just because I don't want him to sit in 2 study halls.
yeah, and I get that.
I just wish there were more options, I guess, so that he could.
Usually there were technology and other art and other choices, so I'm not sure, maybe because of the growth, but we'll get more information. So thank you for letting us know.
Yep.
All right, that concludes our public participation. Do we have a need for executive session this evening? I do not either. Okay. Then I would like to say thank you to those of you who came out tonight, whether you joined us in person or online. Again, remember our building dedication is going to be Saturday, August 19th at 10:30 a.m. And I hope we have a lot of people show up because I'm excited about that. So with no further ado, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Thank you, Mrs. Mansfield. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Donahue.
Mrs. Sebastian?
Yes.
Mrs. Donahue?
Yes.
Mrs. Mansfield?
Yes.
We are adjourned at 8:10.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
I know.